computer, so you already got Excel loaded and so forth. But if you're having trouble in Windows 10 in finding something, like let's say I want to bring up Excel. Down here in this bottom blank, this is your search. So if you click down there and then you type Excel, you'll see Excel 2016 pop up. This is probably one of the best features that they added. Well, not best features, but this is a really nice feature that they added in Windows 10, because sometimes you just have trouble finding something. Everybody locate Excel? No? Okay. Oh, you're fine. You're in Excel. Click the blank click there. Okay. Now, remember to make your, so you can see a little bit better. Put that plus down there. That'll just make it bigger or smaller. Now, we're going to take a look at formulas more today. She was showing me, I'm not going to bring up the spreadsheet, but it's a church spreadsheet that she had that had formulas in it. And sometimes formulas get messed up. And she indicated that there was people that weren't happy because they weren't being called because the formulas that got messed up. So it's nice to have a basic knowledge of formulas so you can kind of look out for things. Okay. Now, we're going to, if you don't already have a brand new worksheet up, do a file, then new. Some of you already have one up, so that's fine. And then click the blank and then load this up. We'll look at templates eventually also. Templates are nice because you don't have to spend a lot of time. I like to use templates for like calendars. Because I'll create a calendar, but I don't want to go down to Walmart because I hate going into Walmart, to buy a paper calendar. So I'll use one on the computer. Okay, now we're going to create January. February. Remember, you can fill over to fill in the months. And I always select 2 so it sees a pattern. But some of the newer versions of Excel allow you to just, I think, grab the end here and it sees a pattern. I'm just curious. Let me do that. Grab that, fill it over, and it sees that pattern. So what I did is I typed January here and February. Then I just, down here in February, I put my mouse in the bottom right-hand corner, clicked and held down and dragged to the right. February all the way over. That's why I say some versions of Excel. Oh, it did.
Last, it changed all of it.
Yeah. It will definitely be click and hold down and then select January, February, and then drag it.
Oh, January.
I didn't have to do that though. There, I changed it to where I just put February and then drag it over.
There it goes.
Due to the fact that I did it once. So click on January and then highlight February also. Or click it. January. And click and hold down for that month. Drag over. It. know what you want to do there. You click here and hold down to the left mouse button and drag over. See how that highlights it? But power back. There you go. Highlight. Now, okay, January. Hold down the left mouse button. Then you can hold down. Yeah. It's not surprised. Now it looks for all kinds of patterns. I find it better if the pattern is at the end. For example, you don't have to do this, but if I got March 1st, March 2nd, if I fill that over, it assumes I'm talking about days of the month. I think this will work. Got happy 1, happy 2. Let's see if I'm lying. Happy 8. So again, if it can recognize a pattern, but I think if I put the number at the beginning, I don't think it'll work. So I had a spreadsheet I was creating where I was trying to fill it over, and did yours work? See, mine just repeated 1, 2, 1, 2 over and over.
When you do what? When you put the number in front?
Number in front. But that's the idea when you fill, is it looks for a pattern.
I can put 1 hyphen March, 2 hyphen March, for it to go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
No, it doesn't matter on that.
Then how did it know that?
That format?
Yeah, because you have a number in front of the word.
Let's see. When I type and actually I'll have everybody do that. We can play the format of it and so forth. On your spreadsheet, you should have January through June here. And over in H1, go ahead and click in H1 and type March 1st. And press enter. So I did MAR and space 1. Now it assumed I wanted a date. Now this is not how it's stored though. If I come up here, see how there's a custom? This is under the home tab, under the number, and it says custom. If I do the drop down right next to it, where I say general, no specific format, this is actually, when I put March 1st, this is what is stored. I don't know what that is, number of seconds since 1970 or what exactly. How that sound weird, but a lot of programming is based upon so many seconds, minutes, or hours, or whatever from some date in 1970. I don't know what was special about that. When this up here, if you choose short date, it'll give you the year. And I'm just up here under the home number and where the date is. I'm doing the drop down. If you choose long date, it'll put the day of the week on there too. So you're asking about how does it recognize a pattern since it started with 1? That's just a display it does. It's not really 1 more. Now, if you really need to have it look a certain way, they provide short date and long date here. But then down at the very bottom, you see there's a more number formats. Again, how I got that is I chose the drop down here, and I chose this more number formats down here. When you choose that under date, you'll see a whole variety of ways to do the date. You can do a number with a dash and then a March. I don't know what that is. Day, I guess, day dash March year. If you choose any one of those and click OK, that'll change what it looks like.
I always put the hyphen, say March 12th. There's a hyphen between March and 12.
March.
I don't know.
2012, March 2012. 2019.
Now, what you can do is you can create your own format. Down here, see there's a custom. If you choose a custom down here, you have to know what the codes mean. Like, yeah, you see how it says D-MMM right here? If I get rid of the dash, do a backspace, and do a space, then it won't print that way. Yeah, everyone might be different in that regard. And this is where, if you know what these codes mean, you can put whatever you want here. Like at the beginning of it, I could, or end of it, I could put David's date. I think it'll take that. Let's see. Nah, it doesn't like that. So how do you put special text? Maybe quotes around it. But yeah, I don't remember them exactly, but like MM, it shows you a sample. Here's 03. 3 M's is the month. 4 M's is the month spelled out. 5 M's is just a single M. That's weird. 6, 7, 8, I guess that's it. Little M's. That gives you the March is the third month. 2 little M's, 03, 3 little M's, March. So I don't have a list of these, but it's once you get down here to custom, you can come up with whatever format you want. Like if I wanted it to say the full month spelled out and then the day. DD. I could have it say March 01. All these have meanings. Like I said, I couldn't tell you what they are. Okay. Enough about that, I guess. Does that make sense on how to change your formats if you're... And the neat part about that is if you get one you like, remember you can use your format painter, that paintbrush, to paint it into something else. Okay, so we're going to go over January. And let's say we're going to keep track of our eating out. And before, I had you put the total down here at the bottom. And by putting that at the bottom, it would limit how many we could put on there. Well, we can do it differently. Like, let's say I put $11.13 in A2, 12.13 here, 5.67 here, $3.12 there. Your feed not working?
No, but
What?
Control Z undoes. Yeah. Control Z undoes. Whatever you. Yeah, you can do it.
Highlight,
That's fine.
You got it. Hey, sorry.
Now it's so easy when you're putting new items in a blank for it to come up with the wrong format. Hers came up as a date when she put the number in. Right here, if you click the one that has a date on it, that in your case, remember you can come over here to the clear, do the drop down, and you can say clear formats. See, in her case, she had this number here, and she was probably had a date in it from before, so she had to format it like this. And this is frustrating because you're trying to put just a regular number in there, and it's coming up as a date. Well, again, the easy way is you come over here, clear formats, and that'll get rid of that and put it back to a number. Now, what we're going to do is over here on the side, we're going to put our totals. Remember, you can double click between the little the cells, a little line between the columns to make them smaller. And I'm going to type totals up here. January, February, March, April, May, and June. How to bring these closer together? When I put my mouse between like E and F, I double clicked. Yeah. When it's a black line with an arrow on each side. Now, last time we looked at the Autosum. That's where you just click the Autosum, and then it guesses where you want to do the total at. Do you think that if I click over here in I2 to the right of my January title, do you think if I click the Autosum, it'll have any idea what I want to do? I'd guess not. See, if I click the Autosum, it thinks I want to add everything to the left, which isn't going to give me the right formula. So I'm going to hit Escape to exit out of that. We're going to see how to put in a formula manually, and we'll also see how to use a kind of a wizard for it. Now, right here at I2, I'm going to start typing equals sum. It doesn't have to be lowercase. It doesn't have to be uppercase. It can be either one, but it has to be sum. No spaces anywhere here in this. You do your beginning parentheses, and then A2 in my case, colon, and I'll go down to A12. And closing parentheses. Now, every formula starts with an equals. So it doesn't matter where you are, it's a formula that starts with equals. The sum means I'm going to add these together. You do a beginning parentheses, it's always beginning parentheses. And then you do your beginning cell, which my beginning number is A2. And then colon. And then your ending cell, which I said was A12. And then closing parentheses on that. And now if you press enter, add those together. Sum A2. You have an extra O.
Oh.
So click up here. Get rid of that O before you get it. And then click up there. Remember to get rid of the format. Go to, yeah. Click over and I do. Okay, and then go to beginning parentheses. Hold on a second. I'm gonna grab this. So you can see. I'm gonna put a beginning parentheses. So shift 9. If you do A2. Or press your A one time. Or hold that down. Colon. There it is. And then A. Well, closing parentheses. Shift 0. Now, I'm guessing that if I fill down, it's not going to work. I'm guessing that it'd probably go from A13 to A something. I could be wrong, but we're gonna put in February. So if you click in I3, and then you do an equals sum beginning parentheses B2 colon B12. Nope. All of it, like some can be lowercase, the B's can be lowercase. Now I'm assuming you can't put spaces in there, but I'm not sure if I ever tried. But yeah, sometimes I get sloppy. Sometimes a little B, sometimes big B's. It doesn't care. Now, once you get that typed in, you press enter. And it says 0 because I don't have anything for February, do I? But now, as you start typing in values over here, like if you typed in something under February, whatever the amount might be, you'll see your totals update over there. I'm going to do March. So I'm going to do equals sum beginning parentheses. And go ahead and stop there. Now, instead of typing in the range of cells, what you can do is after you got the beginning parentheses, you come over here on C2 and you left mouse click and hold down and drag down to C12. And what it'll do is it'll fill in the range for you. Some people love that because then, yeah, it fills in a range. They don't have to worry about typing it in, mistyping it. And then you do a closing parentheses to close off the sum. There's even another way I'm going to show you. So there's lots of different ways of putting a formula in. And then once you press enter, it pops up 0. Now, another way you can do a function, and some people like this better because they think it's even easier. They don't have to remember, the equals, the sum, and so forth. Is up here. See how there's an fx? Does everybody see the fx there? Where my mouse is circling? Yeah, it's real small. I don't know why they didn't make it bigger. If you click that fx, that's insert function. Now this will pop up with your most recently used ones, assuming you've used some before. If not, you can do this drop down here, and you can choose these categories to look into. You see there's an all capability. So if you're wanting to do something a little bit different, you go down to the all. Our sum is right here. Even more than that, it tells you what it does. Adds all the numbers in a range of cells. Did you get the pop-up? You probably have different ones than me though, right? Yeah, that's it. This will vary based upon what you've used. So almost none of you will have the same thing as I have here, I'm guessing. Now we want to go ahead and use sum. So sum should be highlighted. If it isn't, click it and then click OK. Big list. Helps you realize how powerful Excel is. Yeah, if you find sum down there and then click after you click sum. You understand statistical. When did the drop down there? Choose more recently. That's probably where the and okay, then sum, and then click OK. Now, if you change this,
over here.
if you do the where it says select category, do the drop down there and choose the top, most recently used, and choose the third one. Now, at this point, this is up to you. You could type in the range if you wanted. Some people like that. Or since we're doing March, I could come over here with my mouse and with my left mouse button, click and hold down in C2 and drag it down to C12. And it'll put C2 colon C12 there for you. And then you click OK. So that doesn't require you to remember the equals, doesn't require you the sum. You just go there. Right. Yeah, let's do that again. I'm going to do it under May. And again, how you do it is you click the FX. So I'm up here. I'm going to click the FX. Now, let's say sum wasn't there and you're having trouble finding it. Which, if you ever go to the all, there's a lot of functions out there. What you can do is up here, see where it says type a brief description of what you want to do. I want to add numbers. Let's see if it's smart enough to see what add numbers means. I click go. And see it says for adding numbers, I want to use the sum. If you actually know your function name, you can type your function name up here, sum, and it'll quickly go down and find it. So then I got sum here. I'll click OK.
Mine went to that's right there when I clicked on the X. So,
Really? It went directly there.
yeah. Maybe we didn't have our cursor on.
You didn't have it in a blank cell? I'll show that here in a second.
Okay.
So then this was, what was this? Yeah. Which is a good point. I would have mentioned that if you hadn't said that. Now for the May, if I click and hold down my left mouse button on E2 and drag down to E12, it'll automatically put E2 colon E12. If you have trouble using the mouse, where you right, I think I told you that last time, where I'm right mouse clicking a lot when I'm using the computer. It's just I can't stop it. I think it's the way the angle my hand is. Maybe you'd prefer to type it. If you forget the colon a lot, your mouse might be your best bet. So they provide different ways to accommodate everybody. And then you click OK. Now what she was seeing, what she was talking about, is if you want to change an existing formula. For example, if I want to change this formula for January, if I click I2 and then click the FX, it'll bring up the existing formula that's already there, which is kind of nice. Then you can make whatever changes. I'm going to go ahead and click cancel. Do what? Yeah, if you click I2, if you already have a formula there, and click the FX, it should pop up with what's the formula is, which is sum and the parameters. Oh, okay.
When I did that, I got zeros under March and April.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also filled in.
Right. Because it assumes, if you got blanks here, it assumes there's zeros. Mine didn't do it?
You don't have zeros over there on the left. You just have them over here. I have zeros both places.
Oh, you have 0 in both places. That's kind of however you want to configure it.
Well, I didn't enter them that way. They just popped up.
Popped up that way? Yeah, see, if you choose general versus number, text, if you depend upon what your format is whether the zeros will appear. Now these, if this right here, I'm thinking if you just do your clear, if you go into your home tab, do your editing and choose clear formats, see if that gets rid of the zeros over there. You select whatever cell you want, or cells, and then you come up here and choose clear formats. Did that get rid of the zeros?
I've got this weird screen in front of me. I don't know what this is. This is funny. Well, I tried to just take clear formats. Oh, it says Microsoft Excel. It's not responding.
Of course you'll lose it.
Well, I never came back.
Did it come back?
Yeah, that's it. Well, it was. Like it's their- But what I was getting when I went over to clear formats was that white cross like that.
Okay.
And they wouldn't cooperate. Maybe that was the. Like tobacco. Well, I deleted it that way.
Oh, okay. How all electronics work, as far as I know, is with like a binary number system. We got a 0 or 1 going across. So if you're typing in a number, it may be going across to this. This may be, I don't know, this may be the number 250. It isn't, but let's pretend it is. It converts that to ones and zeros, and that's how the computer talks. So computer has gates in there, open and close. And 1 is like open, 2 is closed. And there's not actually ones and zeros. Have you ever heard that before, ones and zeros? How the computer talks?
I've heard them.
Yeah. There isn't any actually ones and zeros going across. That's the way we refer to it. Voltage is going across. And if your voltage is so high, it's considered a 1. If it's so low, it's considered a 0. So there isn't a direct cutoff on it. Just if it's greater than this value, it's considered 1. If it's less than this value, it's considered 0. Computers do weird things because if you have voltage, like too much voltage comes through, then it may flip a 1 or 0, and close this gate, open that gate. And that's why 1 minute it'll hang up when you do that. Next minute it'll work just fine. This morning my Outlook was blowing up. And I thought, well, this is great. I'm going to have to call IT and I'll have to fix it and so forth. It shut itself down ungracefully, just like yours did. I knew what it was because it hung up like that. I just didn't know any way to actually not lose your data, but I'm surprised it came back. Well, I shut it down, brought it back up, it worked just fine. So it seems like there's little demons in the system because of some of the weird stuff it does, but it's a voltage. Luckily, the electricity here in the United States is pretty stable. But you do have fluctuations. It's not perfect. Countries that don't have that stability, they'll have the wide fluctuations. Their computers are crashing all the time. Not because of anything they're doing necessarily, it's just because of the voltage.
Now, I couldn't get the studies out what it can't open. So when I restart my computer, it works fine. But that didn't happen until some recently. But I don't know if I have Windows 7 and I'm part of that issue.
Sometimes it pushes out an update that for some reason that will cause you issues. So that's a programming problem. One time I had to learn how to undo updates because it pushed out an update. I was on Windows 7 and it pushed out an update that broke my internet. And that was great because I couldn't get on the internet to Google it to see how to fix my computer. So I finally went to another computer and figured out how to undo the update. I knew what it had done. And yeah, that's really bad because when you push out an update that breaks people's internet, you got about 80% of those people that are broke, they won't be able to have it figured. So they take their computers into Best Buy, McDonald's computing. So they see a big influx of business when that happens. So.
I have something other weird
Mm-hmm.
that because I thought I was getting I got a circular.
That refers to your formula cannot contain the cell it's in. So, for example, if I'm doing June here, the cell I'm putting this in is I7, right? If I did equals sum I2 to I7, I'm including the cell that the formula is in. So it's called a circular reference. So then when I click OK, it says, okay, this doesn't work right.
Well, it's not exactly,
Does it say circular reference?
well, like when okay. It's private, but that's okay, to do these, we have our set, like if I want to do Monday, I have it here, right? And I click there. Oh.
Yeah, when you had it over there, you were including the cell in your formula. So now if you click
Oh. Oh, that's what I did. All right.
then you can click and drag on the
Now I go over here.
right. Formulas are challenging. Oh, no. Okay, so you come over here. And so now, you do a backspace twice. Now I'm going to let you do it. We're going to do more. T2 and hold down the left mouse button and drag down. Drag down. Wherever you want. 12 is fine. See, it'll fill in the C2 colon C12. Then you click over. Perfect. Now there's another way. Not to confuse you by showing you like 4 or 5 ways. But I suppose you can pick what one you want. Not everybody has this. But you see across the top there's a formulas tab. They added this at some version of Excel, so some of you may not have it. Now here they try to provide the same options in a little bit more user-friendly way. So the formulas tab is across the top here, so you just click the formulas tab with the left mouse button. View. Oh yeah, right. Now, depending upon the size of your screen, it may not have the words on there. It may just have the icons. But you see how there's a recently used? There's also financial, logical, text, more. The recently used, if you click that, it'll pop up with ones you've used. And so you can choose some. Now, when you pop up with some, you see it pops up with the same window we've been seeing, right? When you do the FX button. And I don't know what I'm on. What am I on? June. So I'm going to click and hold down from F2 to F12. F2, mine was right here. So I clicked my left mouse button, held down, and dragged down to F12. Now you should see F2 colon F12 there. And then you click OK. You didn't get a 0? I bet if you put something in June over here, though, you'll see a number up here. like 3.12. Sounds like the formula's not right though. Yeah, click there, drag down, or click the left mouse button down, drag down.
So I should have it here.
Right.
Yeah.
Click over to and then click your, already got your formulas tab, shows. Now, if you click over, type anything you want.
No, I just.
Oh, okay. Oh, we did these up here. Oh. Here, now that that's highlighted, click with your left mouse button, down, right, F2. See what I did? Call. I'm not very good with this next part. I have to play with it and see. That church spreadsheet she had some formulas in it. The formulas aren't pointing to the right place. One of the new features in Excel is to allow you to see where things are coming from. For example, if you click one of the formulas here, it doesn't matter which one you click, and you click your formulas tab up here. Probably the English teacher in here could tell me which one to choose, but I never can remember which one's which. Trace precedents and trace dependents. I'm going to choose trace precedents because I'm just curious. There it goes. And this shows you, I guess I chose the right one, all the cells that are used in that formula. So this, in this case, you could see if your formula, you don't think your formula is right, you can come over here and click that, and that'll allow you to see that. Again, all I did is I clicked on a cell that had a formula, and I clicked the trace precedents. Now, if I click this I3, mine February, and I click trace precedents, that's disappointing. I was thinking it'd be a different color. Obviously, it doesn't work very well if you have too many lines on there. You can't tell where anything's coming from. But you see there's a remove arrows. If you click the remove arrows, they'll get rid of all of them, and then you can start over. So if you're sitting there and you're inheriting a spreadsheet, which she did from somebody at the church, if you're inheriting a spreadsheet and you're supposed to change it and so forth, this might help you figure out where things are coming from. So if you got a formula, if you click that, that'll help you figure it out. Now trace dependence, what's this do? Nothing. If I click over here and click trace dependence. So this tells you where this cell's, what formulas this cell's used in. So this would tell me that for this cell right here, it's using this formula right here. Questions on the trace precedence, trace dependence? You choose the remove arrows right here. Now get rid of them. Like I say, I don't know when they added this in as Excel, so not everybody may have that in their version. Well, now I've added 6 months, or got 6 months worth, or however many months you have. You may have less. We're just learning about formulas anyway. I'm going to now sum these up together. So I'm going to type a grand total down here. I could use the Autosum feature right here. That'd be no problem. Or you can use the recently used and choose sum. Remember, if you choose Autosum, it tries to guess the best parameters. Did mine guess very good? I7. That's horrible. It just found January or June, didn't it? But remember, if we click the FX, that'll bring that up. And then we can click and hold down and drag from I2 to I7 or wherever your formulas are. And click OK. It is maybe a JSON. Sum F2, F12. See, you're in column J. So instead of F2, F12, you want J2 to J. Except you probably want J2 to J7. Sum. Parentheses. J2, colon, J7. And then close the parentheses. Now, before you press enter, see how when you did J2, J7, it highlights the color? So you can see it typed in right now. Then you just press enter. Like here, if we want to do the grand total. Then click on, actually, oh no. Now we're, let's start here. Now the Autosum chooses needle. See, now I wasn't smart enough to recognize what one we wanted. So again, you click the FX. And sometimes this isn't the way. So click on the white bar up here and hold down from the left. Right into the left. Now we want to select from here down to here. So you click on the left mouse button, hold down, and drag it down. And you'll see the range puts in there. As you know. We need formulas. The Autosum. Then you can just press enter or you can do check mark. It's weird how sometimes like yours work, mine didn't. I don't know what I'm having to do. But you have to do the formula. The Autosum do it fast. I see you didn't select them all. Right. So you can do one of two things. If you click the F-X, that'll bring up our standard window. Now that's in a way, you can click in the white, and then click on I2, right down to I7. Put that in. Now, if you get too cold, let me know. Then make a mistake of showing the fat guy where the control was. I'm down here like 25 degrees every day now. I didn't even realize I had my own control in this room. Yeah, I've been going over the other room over there, and I've been bringing it down, hoping to cool it off in here. Guy over there's coming in every morning, it's freezing. It's like, what the? Doesn't work. Yeah. Again, those trace precedents, dependents, I have to play with them, see which ones. That'll tell you if you got everything you needed. Like if you're wondering, well, did I get everything? If you click your grand total you just put on there and click trace precedents, it'll put a blue box around which numbers it's adding. And again, you can do the remove errors to get rid of that. So the very nice way to check all of your formulas when you put that in, see if you got them right. So now that you got this, whenever you eat out, you just put the amount in here. It'll update the month and the grand total. So you can see how it builds up. On that example. Now we're going to go to a new sheet. So down here in the bottom left-hand corner, on the right-hand side, you're going to see a little plus with a circle around it. So that's down here. If you click that plus with the circle on there, it'll insert a new sheet. Remember, you can change the zoom of it down here in the bottom right-hand corner so you can see it better. And let's say I want to buy something, and I want to check the tax rate. I was reading in the paper this morning about Arc City. Somehow, I didn't understand their logic. The logic didn't seem to flow with what they were saying. But I guess when you buy something out of state, they're supposed to collect local tax and send it to that area where you live, and then it's supposed to help the businesses there. You know, like if you got a place in Arc City, you got a McDonald's computer repair. He sells computers. Well, people go down to Oklahoma and Ponca City, and they buy cheap computers down there, and so he doesn't get the business. So they're supposed to collect tax down in Ponca City and send it to Arc City. And I guess, well, how many times do you think they probably actually send the tax? Almost never. Like a owner down in Ponca City is going to willingly write a check to Arc City. But I guess it's picked up with Amazon. When people buy stuff off Amazon, they'll actually send the money to the local area. And I forget how much the paper said that the city had kind of messed up. I think like $1 million. And they claimed it was supposed to go to the hospital there. And I'm sitting there scratching my head, wondering how in the world does that work? Because that's out of state. You're buying something. Does anybody go out of state to go medical? Maybe. I don't know. So their logic, I wasn't making the connection there. Just in general, and that could be. They probably shouldn't have explained at the top what money is for, because I think, well, that should go to benefit the local businesses in Winfield and Arc City that potentially are losing money. But
Isn't their hospital having some problems?
yeah, it's mismanaged.
The fact is they're supposed to be going into the hospital, so they're paying the taxes. And the city budgeting is going to something else with the city, not them.
Right.
So it was $7 or $8
Yeah, it was like one point some $1 million. And like you say, probably if it's out of state, they don't know who it should go to anyway. So like you say, they probably decide, well, the hospital should get it because they're kind of struggling. Yeah, I hope they get things straightened out there. I heard from their, I didn't hear from, I was reading the paper about their IT department at the hospital. And they've corrected it since. But I guess one of their issues were they weren't doing backups of their computer systems, their servers. Which means if you're not doing backups on them, that if you go in and you get a test done and they're storing it on their servers, if that server crashes, then your test results are gone. And I was sitting there, my mouth fell open when I read that. I was just like, oh my God, that's horrible. Because if I go in and have some procedure done and I pay money for it, or even if they just need the results and it's lost because they didn't do a backup, yeah. The worst business in the world will actually do a backup, like on a flash drive, and throw the flash drive on the floor or something. That's better than none. But they've corrected that. That was one of the things they came in and I said, "You're not doing backups, because you got a lot of medical records that be gone." Okay, so I'm over here in a new sheet. I made it a little bit bigger, and up here at top, I'm gonna type price, something I'm gonna buy. And I'll put $10,000 in B1. So in A1 I put price, in B1 I put $10,000. And you can if you want. Yeah. Not necessary. That's entirely up to you. That's a formatting thing. It still stores it as your base 10,000. So, and then however you want to display it is up to you. Now, let's say I'm gonna buy a car for $10,000. I could buy it in Arc City. So I have a city column, and Arc City has a tax rate. And then I'm gonna have my amount here that my car would cost me. So put Arc City here, or I could buy it in, I'm assuming, Ponca. Is it Ponca or Ponca City? Ponca City. Some people, by the way, drive down to Oklahoma to save money on taxes. So the state of Kansas, I think, has cracked down on it a little bit. Like when you come in here, if you got, they have it.
Pay tax when you come back.
Oh, when you come back.
I bought a car in Enid.
Yeah, because that used to be a real bad thing. People would go down there because the tax rate was so much cheaper, I guess. Pay it again. Yeah. So I guess they're cracking down on that because otherwise your local business in Arc City or Winfield or Wellington wouldn't have any of that. People would go elsewhere, I guess. No, I don't know if I could actually. Does anybody know what the tax rate is in Arc City or Winfield or 7.5? Okay. Oh, is it 8.5? Okay. Now let's say Ponca City is 4%. So I put my city here, and I just typed the numbers. I'm not doing formulas at this point yet. Now I could have an amount column, and that'd be fine. I could do it all in one time. But let's say I want to see actually how much the sales tax is. Let me change that amount to sales tax. Oh, oh no. You just went very far here. So, hang on. You guys are blessing. Now I may not. Month and a half from now, I may wish I had all golden tigers. Because I'm starting a girls who code club for sixth grade to 12th grade, and I've never dealt with sixth grade to 12th grade girls, so I don't know what that'll be like. Last time I dealt with real young children, I've developed a lot of patience since then. I was a Boy Scout, Wolf Scout, Cubs, some one of the scouts, Bear Scout leader. They asked me if I'd do it and so forth. And parents were supposed to be there for that age group. They weren't. They dropped their kids off, used as a babysitting service. They were in church and they were running around that room, throwing sand, screaming. Wouldn't do what I told them to do. Oh, I was mad that day. I told my stepson, he said, "You don't move a bit. If you move any, I'm going to throw every toy away you have." And he knew I was serious. He just stood there just as straight, didn't move a bit, and they were just running around. I quit that night. I realized, I can't handle this. People that teach. I guess I was probably about fifth grade, fourth grade. They have my deepest respect. Okay. So sales tax here. Now I'm going to do an equals. Now you don't have to actually use a function. You can actually just do a calculation. Like your sales tax is your price times your tax rate. Well, where's my price at? B1 times, and then my tax rate is in B4. Now, how I did the times, it's above your 8, it's an asterisk. So that's how you indicate multiplication. And how you get that is you do shift 8 to get the asterisk. So then, if you press enter, that'd tell me my tax rate for Arc City would be $850. Now we could do a similar one for Ponca City. I could do an equals, and I'm going to type B1 times B5. Although I know some of your computers didn't do this, some of the computers, when you type that in, it does different color. Does everybody's? Okay, I swore somebody's computer I was looking at that brought their computer didn't do different colors. That's nice, so you can see if you're actually multiplying the things together correctly. Okay, perfect. It would swap with you when you press it.
We have to do price first and then the tax rate.
No, it shouldn't matter. You probably just type letter or number or something like that. It's easy to do it. Now, the beauty of this is you decide you want to buy a $20,000 car. 20,000 in there, and you see the difference. Now, I don't know if 4% is even reasonable for what Ponca City is. When you went down to Enid, what was it? What's that, something I could Google and find fairly fast? Sales tax in Ponca City, Oklahoma. 3.5%. So somebody, same car, they drive 7 miles down the road. I'm assuming it's 7 miles between Arc City and Ponca City. I don't know if I've ever been to Ponca City. But how many miles it is, they can save $1,000 by buying it down there. And that's why people are doing it. And then the state these businesses along the border kind of, lose, because people go down to Oklahoma and people in Arc City and Winfield and so forth losing. So then they started doing it another way to still gather the results. That was the trouble with like Amazon and so forth at first, is people were buying stuff on Amazon, they weren't having to pay local sales tax. They cracked down on that, so now they're seeing this money come in from Amazon, and they're getting that money. Okay, now over here, I can create another column. This will be my total price. So I do an equals again. And for the total price, I want to add my original price, which is in B1, plus the tax, which is in C4. Now, after you type the equals B1 plus C4, you should see the coloring. So it should tell you what you're adding together. Plus is kind of upper right-hand corner of the keyboard.
Oh, there it is.
Then if you press enter, it'll add my original price plus my sales tax. Yours not change?
Well, it changed color when I did the multiply, but it's not changing color on. Oh, I forgot to do that.
Yeah, that's why I was looking at some decision. rid of the equal. Yeah, they only want one equal. There. Here you go. Press enter.
I got someone.
Now I'm going to do a equals here, and I want to add my price, which is B1 plus C5. Right? And then I'll press enter. And if you want to come up here, I can move the computer out of the way. That's up to you. If you want. See, for me, if I sat in the back, I wouldn't be able to see the screen.
Oh, well, that's true. I thought that was
And then you press enter, and that gives that to you. Now, some of you may have wondered why I didn't fill down. We put the first formula in. Why didn't I grab the corner and fill it down? Problem with that is if I click D4, where I have this total price here, and I grab the corner and fill down, it doesn't work. It says it's 700. No, that's not right. This formula says B1 plus C4, just like we would expect. That's what we had originally, right? Now, B1 is based upon this cell up here, which is in column B and row 1. C4 is in this column in this row. When I filled it down, it was smart enough to adjust the C5 because it's saying, okay, you are now in row 5. It was still smart enough to see that it should be in column C, but then it assumed that instead of B1, I wanted B2 because I went down one row. So it moves everything down one row. Problem with that is if I come back up here, this is relative addressing. Relative addressing is based upon when you fill down, it's relative to whatever row, whatever column you move it to. We want it always to be B1. So if I come back up here, and what I did is I clicked on D4, and then you can click up here in the formula bar, and you can edit your formula. Well, instead of B1, I'm going to put a $, B, $1. What that refers to is absolute referencing. So now if I fill it down, I got 500 rows to fill it down, it will always see B1. It'll never adjust it to B2, B3, B4. So now if I press enter, now if I click up here and I fill down, you see it works. Okay. See right here I got B1 plus C4. And when I filled it down, it moved the B1 down to B2 because I'm on the next row down here, so it thinks this should be on the next row. I don't want that. We want to use absolute referencing. So what I did is I clicked cell D4. So go ahead and click your cell D4 if that's where you have your formula at. Up here in this formula bar, you can click to the right of the B1 plus C4. And you should see this pop up, equals B1 plus C4. If you put a $sign before the B and $sign before the 1. That'll make it absolute referencing. So whenever you move this formula, fill it down, fill it to the right, it'll always say B1 no matter what. Now, if I press enter, it saved that formula. And now if I click D4, put my mouse in the bottom right-hand corner and click and hold down and drag, it'll fix that formula. Now, that's really only an issue if you're going to be inheriting a spreadsheet from somebody that has like 1,000 rows. You do not want to type that formula 1,000 times. You want to fill it down. If you got something simple you're creating like this for your own purposes, you probably just do what we did in this first. Do an equals this cell plus this cell times this cell, and so forth. So I think in that church spreadsheet she gave me, I think she had 300 people in it. Well, 300 formulas is a lot to put in, isn't it? So in her case, we'd want to use absolute referencing for anything that we don't want to fill down. Questions on that? Takes you a while. Absolute referencing takes you a while to get used to. Mhm.
Is there any way to print what I have here?
Maybe. At the end of class, I can come print it for you. I think. We'll see. Okay. Yeah. See, those are set up with an IP address. I just had to plug in the cable, but I don't think the printer's set up, so I'll have to. It shouldn't take too long though. Now, one other option there that's kind of nice. This formulas have added a lot of different features. If you click the formulas tab, you see there's an option that says show formulas. And if you click show formulas, it'll really mess up your formatting, which is not a big deal because then when you're done looking at the formulas, it'll put it back. But this will show you everything you put in here. And when you click around here, it'll show you what it affects.
So B1 is like, that's a times B4.
Correct. Yeah. That's a multiplication on Excel, is the asterisk. To get the formulas to go away, you see up here it says show formulas. It should be grayed. If you click it again, it'll take your formulas off. Now, we're not going to look at the formulas in too much depth. We'll look at some more formulas as time goes on, but realize that it has a wide variety of things you can do. And I have no clue what most of these items are. Like if I click financial, if you're trying to do some kind of financial calculation, I'm sure it can do it. T-bill, I don't even know what a T-bill is. Treasury bill? Guess there's a way to figure that. Future value schedule. How do you spell that? How do you say that word? Amortization, if I'm saying that right? Whatever that is business-wise. My wife handles all financial stuff, so I couldn't even tell you what these items are. If you look at these other ones, date and time, look up and reference. Here is what she has in her church spreadsheet. She's using the index. And I've never used index, so that's why I told her I'd have to research it before I could figure out what her formula was doing. It says returns a value or reference to the cell at the intersection of a particular row and column in a given range. And then she also had match. Returns the relative position of an item in an array that matches a specified value in a specified order. She had the two mixed together. So you can mix formulas together. Okay. Questions on relative, absolute, show formulas? Now we're going to create a new sheet now. So click the plus down here again. This is in the bottom left. It's a plus to the circle on it to create a new sheet. And we're going to type in A1, we'll type name, city, and amount. Maybe I'm keeping track for a church. Church probably have to keep track of the amount you tithe, right? I would assume they would. So otherwise you'd have churches that could launder drug money. So I'm assuming they have to report that to the government in some manner, so you write a check to the church, they keep track of that. So put David lives in Mulvane, amount $100. Frank lives in Lawrence, my brother. Let's say 200. Mary lives in Mulvane, 300. Bill lives in Mulvane, 400. What are the other names? John lives in Lawrence, 500. And one more. Sally lives in Wellington, 600. I'll give you a few minutes to type in whatever data you're putting in. I work with a spreadsheet here at the college, has about 20,000 rows in it. What I do is I download the math results for every student that's ever taken a math class at Cali. It allows us to see patterns. Like I can do a graph, and I can see when the DWF rate was real high, when it was real low. There's one point in time, over like the 20 years time frame, one of the reports I looked at, is pretty well standard all the way across. All the things that people have tried over the last 20 years doesn't really change anything. We still get the same amount of people through college algebra. But there's one point in time where it spiked way down. And I didn't know why. You can look at the data, but understanding what it means is the challenging part. And I had somebody been here for a while, and they said, well, such and such was in charge then, and they were doing something different. And she couldn't remember what. But it's how they did tutoring, I think. So sometimes you have large amounts of data. If you have people that are giving at a church, if you have 1,000 members that give every week for 5 years, is that going to be a lot of data? Yeah, it'd be a lot of data, won't it? Now to kind of filter this down so we can see it a little bit better, and it doesn't really show it here because we don't have a lot of data, but you'll see the principle anyway. However much data you've already entered, you don't have to put in all the rows that I got if you're still working on it. If you click up here in the name, We'd really like to be able to choose by name, by city, or by amount. Now, if I just click the name here and I click the Home tab, over here there's a sort and filter option. And if I do the drop down next to it, you see there's a filter option. So again, I click the Home tab. Over here in the far right, I click the AZ with the funnel next to it, and I'm choosing filter. So again, if you click A1, click your Home tab, sort and filter, and then filter. Doesn't look like it changed any. But you see how there's little drop-down arrows next to these now? If I choose the drop-down next to city, you see down at the bottom, mine it says Lawrence, Mulvane, and Wellington. So if I just wanted to look at people that were from Mulvane, I'll uncheck Lawrence and Wellington and click OK. And that'll filter down, so I'm just looking at Mulvane. Now, this does not delete anything. This is not changing the data in any form. This is merely a viewing mechanism. So if you've got a large amount of data and it's really hard to go through there and try to find data, you're trying to go through and find everybody who lives in town or something, you can use this. Yes.
I just want to stay control.
The drop down. Now uncheck Lawrence. Check marks.
Oh. Very cool.
What?
Very cool.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I like the filter. I use it quite a bit. Now, again, this really works out better if you have large amount of data. But if I choose this next to the city, you see then drop down. Looks like there's a filter next to it. If I click that filter there, it'll drop down with that again. And you see there's a text filter here. I think you mentioned about looking up by street. Assuming we had street in here, you could choose text filters, and then you could choose contains. And let's say I want to find everybody who lived on Oak Street. I can type Oak in, and then click OK. Now I don't have Oak in that column. But if I typed MUL from Mulvane, then it'll bring back everything that has MUL in it. Which didn't change anything on mine because I already had Mulvane up there. But that's how you can use that contains to locate everybody on the street. You can print it out that way. Now, if you want to clear a filter, if you click the little filter option there, you'll see one of the options says clear filter from city. And then if I do that, it puts everything back the way it was. Now, let's say I wanted to print off the people that have given to the church $500 or more. You know, it's nice that these people gave some money, but I really want to thank the people who gave a lot of money. Well, if I come down here to the amount, I know churches don't do that. I assume they don't. They think everybody equally. But if I choose the amount here and choose the little drop down in the bottom right hand corner, you see there's a number filter, and we can choose everything greater than or equal to 500. So if I choose number filters greater than or equal to, and now if I put 500 in there and click OK, it'll bring up everybody who's donated $500 or more.
It's so wrong, because I only came up with 500, so.
I bet you chose equals.
I thought I was good.
Did you choose equals?
Yeah, I must have, because the second time I did it.
Oh, okay. There's lots of options. You can do an equals, does not equal, greater than equal to, less than equal to, between values. The top 10. So if you wanted to identify the top 10 tithing individuals.
Really nice to them.
Yeah, be really nice to them. And above average, below average, and then I don't do much with the custom filter, but that's where you can do all kinds of strange things. Usually these are enough for me. I don't have to do anything beyond that. Now, if you don't want filters on there, you can just come over here, and if you do the drop down, you see there's the filter option here, but below it is a clear, and then reapply. So for the clear, if you clear that, then that'll clear all your filters out. Now this is handy for me because if I have like 12 columns I'm working with, I'll put filters on this column, this column, and this column. I'll pull everybody from the state of Kansas. I'll pull everybody that has taken college algebra in the last year, and then maybe I'll put something out here by instructor. I want to see how this instructor is doing, and so I don't know where I applied those filters. I don't remember. So by doing this, it'll clear all the filters all the way across. Does that make sense of what the clear does? We had an instructor here at Cali. He routinely, 80% of his students wouldn't get through the class. That was his DWF rate is what we call it. That's the students who get a D, W, or F. And I could see these results. I didn't tell anybody. I assumed they were looking at them. And I'm wondering why they keep this guy. You know, because he wasn't like full-time faculty, so he didn't have tenure where they couldn't get rid of the person. He's an adjunct. And they had all this over the years. Finally, he left. And I made a comment about it in a meeting. It's like, I'm not sure why you keep an adjunct around that's 80% of their class is dropping out. And so we didn't realize that that was happening. Assumed you had access to these tools. So sometimes administration doesn't have access to these tools, which they should. This helps you understand your organization. You know, helps you understand who your people you should pay more attention to. Not that you shouldn't pay attention to everybody here, but if you have David Hayes and he's putting $60 in the plate every week versus Bill Brown that's building you a new wing on the church, well, there's a difference between the two, right? You know, you probably want to get more attention to that person that's donating that huge amount.
Our church did that. It didn't really put names. It was just kind of briefing a certain amount.
Did it? Yeah.
It was kind of interesting to see where he fell. Like, oh my gosh, I thought it was doing better. I thought it was, or whatever. I mean, it's kind of relieving. I don't know how everybody else reacts.
Yeah, I feel ashamed a little bit because the amount I'm giving per week, about $100, and then they're talking about they just raised $10,000 for this mission. That someone's like, well, who's giving all that $10,000? I know that's not the purpose. The purpose isn't to shame people, but yeah, from a church standpoint, you want to understand that and try to build those relationships, right? Um, I'm guessing. I don't run a church. So I don't know how they run it, to be honest. Now, if you just want to get rid of the filter completely, all you do is click this filter again, and that'll take it off. So it's very easy to remove, very easy to add back on. Now, let's say I want to sort my data. This is another way of viewing your data. This is, I want all the Mulvane people to be together, I want the Lawrence people to be together, and I want the one person to be by themselves. You see there's a sort and filter option here, and there's a custom sort. Well, if you choose a custom sort, that's over here under the editing. Is yours not showing? The drop down. Oh no, right now. Yeah. There you go. And custom sort. And let's say okay there. Now click in A1. Or okay, now what you said. There you go. There you go. That's a good point. If you're not actually in your data, like if I'm down here and I'm in G6 where the data doesn't exist, if you choose your custom sort, it'll say, I don't know what you mean. You're not in your data. I don't think you have to be in the first cell, though I tend to always put it there. I think you can put it anywhere here. And if you choose custom sort, it'll pop up like that. Now let's talk about some of these options here. To the far right, it says my data has headers. Mine has headers. That's that name, city, and amount. If you're working with data that didn't have your headers across the top there, you would simply uncheck this. So that'll vary. Excel isn't smart enough to know whether you have headers or not, typically. So you have to decide that yourself. Now, if you have meaningful names here, like name, yeah, custom sort. If you have meaningful names like name, city, amount, if you choose the drop down, this is under the column sort by. If you choose the drop down here, you can tell it to sort by city. And it'll sort, my order here is A to Z. That's from smallest to largest, so alphabetically. And then you click OK. Now this will actually move your data in your spreadsheet. This isn't like a viewing option. So it's actually shifted it around, which is usually not a problem. But if your spreadsheet is designed that you don't want to have it move around, you probably don't want to do that. Using your filter is a better option for that. Now, maybe I want to sort by city and then by name. You can add another level to it. Like if I come back up here to the sort, choose custom sort. Mine still says sort on city. And you see up here, there's a button that says add level. This is like adding another sort level. So if I click the add level, it'll drop down then by. So I'll sort by city and then by name.
How'd you get the inline?
I click the add level in the upper left-hand corner. And then I click OK. It'll not only it'll sort first by city, and then it'll sort by name. So within Mulvane, it put Bill first, David second, Mary third. Again, this works out nice if you got a small amount of data. If you got 20,000 rows, sorting it, you're still going to have to scroll through 20,000 lines. So using the filter option is a better bet to try to understand where your data is coming from, what's happening. Questions on the sort feature?
So you don't have to highlight the everything you want to sort.
Just click anywhere in it. I got to break myself of that because I'm always telling people you have to click in the first cell. And that's not true. But that's the way I learned it, so I'm having trouble.
Copy level, why would you want to copy the level?
I never have chose that feature.
I had never used filters, I used this, but I never used filters at all.
Because it's not that hard to choose a new add level in first place. So I'm not sure why you choose it. I mean, copy it just makes a copy of it, and then you can modify it. I mean, if you spend a long time, custom list. Okay, I understand. See, like if I went into the order and I chose custom list, and maybe I spent 10 minutes building a custom list and having it, new list here and so forth. Then if you want to copy it, then maybe that copies the custom list. That's my only guess. Now, if you have too many levels, you just click whichever one. It highlights it in blue, and you click delete level. Now, if you want to change the order of these without deleting them and re-adding them all, if I click the name here, you see there's an arrow here that says move up. And if I choose that, it'll move up name as my first sort. So it'll sort by name now and then city. Or you can do the down arrow to move it down. So whichever you got highlighted, it'll move up and down. I don't use it, but there is an options here where instead of sort top to bottom, you can sort left to right. I never have used that feature, but. Now I notice that there's a case sensitive option. This under sort options. Sometimes this causes you headaches in Excel, sometimes not. For example, are those the same? We treat them the same, don't we? No matter how you write it, KS, big K, little s, little k, little s, KS, like that. We treat those as the same, and that's the way it defaults to. So that's when you do custom sort and you choose the options. See how it says case sensitive? If you have this selected, these are different. Uppercase K is different than lowercase k, and it'll sort it a certain way. Typically, you don't want that set, but that is an option. First computer program I wrote at Koch Industries, I didn't take this into account. And I had people put in the state this way, this way, this way, this way. I had some people type Kansas, Oz. I think they're just messing with me, but I saw one Oz in there. After a week, I realized I had screwed it up. I allowed them to put whatever they wanted into the state. And if you're trying to sort that, it's going to not sort correctly. That's something for you to keep in mind. If you're creating a spreadsheet for your organization and so forth, and you're allowing them to free form put that state in, these four will be the same. This will be under its own category, and this will be under its own category. So if I was trying to create a report on that, you'd have three separate categories, which is not what you want. Something to keep in mind when you're designing a spreadsheet. What is Arc City? Well, it could be that, or it could be that, right? Again, if you allow them to put in either one of those, you're going to have a lot of correcting to do to get them to appear under one category.
You said it so, like, you don't have to correct it.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like if you want Arc City instead of Arkansas City, then you put Arc City in, that's all that you accept in that spreadsheet.
Correct. Yeah. I'm doing some evaluating faculty, and I didn't realize that the spreadsheet was set up this way. And I tried to type in a number of the course, and I was typing this in, and it wouldn't let me. It's coming up with an error. And I didn't, my eyes are poor. I didn't see that there was a drop down arrow down here. If you choose the drop down, it came up with a list of possibilities you could choose from. That's beyond what we're going to show in this workshop, but you can come up with a drop down list where you can control exactly what they can choose. We're going to look at the VLOOKUP and some of those lookups next time, but we won't get in depth on that.
So are you saying if we put case sensitive, then Kansas, KS2K, that all is going to be separated, or it will not?
Well, see, like I got this selected here, and if I choose my custom sort, and there's no data, there's no headers, choose options, and I say they're case sensitive. Click OK there. Now if I click OK, see how I put the lowercase k first, and then the uppercase K. So it thinks they're different.
So if you don't have that, then what will happen?
It'll assume that it'll leave them all at where they're at. So like if I left that way, choose my custom sort, options, take that off, click OK, and now click OK again. Now notice big K's are first. Notice how big K's are still first. It left them in its original order because it thinks they're all the same now.
The purpose was to use that information as part of an address. You would want it to be specific.
Right.
Very particular about that, and would only accept the data and caps.
Right. You would probably have a drop-down choice here, where you'd have all of the states they could choose from. So you're forcing them to choose the state, and so then you control it with the drop-down.
So that's when you encounter a lot of things online. Choices, it forces you to go with whatever format that site has chosen.
Exactly, because they don't want a lot of errors, and so they control that with drop-downs, box or check boxes, and lots of different options.
undid the little case.
Really? When you had case sensitive off? That's weird. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know about that. Well, we're out of time. Um, time flies when you're having fun.